Good morning and welcome to this Deloitte Grabn Go session with S/4HANA in the center. Today's theme is selective transformation. So the tagline here is out with the old and in with the new. A lot of us are talking about this in the context of 2020, hoping for better things in 2021. But when we look at our core systems, can we just do the same thing? Can we just come away with the old and in with something new? Should we take some of the old with us? Or should we take the best of the old and maybe build something new? And some of those themes we're going to discuss today. We're going to look at what the options for transforming your core are in an S/4HANA context. We're going to look about what you should be considering when you're transforming your core and how to adopt S/4HANA with as low impact as possible and as high reward. So with me, I have my colleagues dialing in from Oslo, Jason Rowe, who is our Enterprise Transformation Lead in Deloitte in Norway, Chanaka Sharma, who is our SAP Technology Transformation Lead, also out of Oslo, and myself, David Colgan. I run our Nordic practice in Deloitte for SAP. So, and welcome to all of you. So we'll jump straight into the detail, and today will be an interactive session. I'll warn you about that in advance, so I hope you can have your mobile phone at the ready. But what we'll do is we just remind you, this is the second of the series around S/4HANA transformation. The last time we had a Grabn Go session, we asked you what are the drivers for your transformation journey. And the results are in front of us here, and we can see that most of you, when you are looking at transforming your core systems, are interested in ensuring maximum digitization and automation, and ensuring that that things in the old are fixed, and optimizing your data and assetizing your data. But that is easier said than done. And many of you who have not yet embarked on your transformation journey have not yet necessarily got all of the components of the business case that address these points, and have not necessarily begun to address these points. And today we're going to show you some tips and tricks on how to kickstart this. So I think what is holding a number of companies back is that they are seeing as many challenges as opportunities in these areas, and really need the impetus to get going. So what I would actually like to quickly ask you is to understand what you are considering when you're transforming your SAP core. We can see that companies have changed operating models. They want to do things from a business process perspective in a different way, in a more automated way. Want to make maximum use of the technology available, including machine learning and artificial intelligence and lots of things. But right now, for many companies, these are just buzzwords. And of course, we want to activate our data as much as we can and make it work for the company, not just have it as a passive force in the company. So what I'd actually ask you to do is, if you can get either your mobile phone ready, or if you're on a mobile phone, if you could switch over to your browser, and if you could answer a question we've asked to you. So you can scan the QR code. That's just take out your phone and point the camera at the QR code here on the screen. Or you can go into your browser and you can type in sli.do. And then when you're asked for a code, put in 28006. And what we are asking you here is, what are your key concerns when you're transforming the core? What is holding you back? And I'm going to show you live on the screen, and don't take other people's answers for yours. So we're interested to hear the options. You can vote on 3 options, and I'm going to give you a minute or so to do that. So I'd like to get up to a reasonable number of answers. So please use time. You will get time to do it. And if you have other key concerns, we will have a questions and answers option at the end of this. So by all means, if the available answers don't represent what you're really concerned about, we will give you an opportunity to put that out later in this session. Wow, we're getting there. I would like to get a few more responses, so I'll still give you a little bit of time. Yeah, I'd like ideally a clear 1, 2, and 3. So please keep voting. And we'll give 20 more seconds for... Okay. Okay, we didn't get a clear 1, 2, 3, but I think the picture is very clear. That at least the top one is extremely clear. We will give the poll a couple of more seconds to settle, and I think already now we are in a position to look at the results. I think they have evolved as we expected. Okay. Yeah, we do have a clear 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so I can see that, I don't know whether I teed it up in the opening, but most of the audience here are of course concerned about disrupting the business, and this is no mean feat. This is, it is removing a significant part of your core business infrastructure, whether it's your supply chain or your production or your finance. It's a core part of how you run the business, and I am certainly not surprised. I'm happy to see that many of you are concerned that the business shouldn't be disrupted. How to mitigate risk was there, and I think it's neck and neck with how to avoid future IT debt. So these are also certainly relevant topics for today, and I'm happy to see that that you have voted on these. I hope we can address them a little later. And how to protect our investment, how to avoid future IT debt. Okay, but these are excellent. What I would like to do is I'll try to make reference to these, and Jason and Chanaka, when they're commenting on the various options, I think these are very relevant to loop back to. So I think what we'll do is we'll close the poll for now. We'll freeze it. Thank you all for voting. This is very helpful, and we will move on, and we will share the results of the poll with you after the session with the materials that you get. So if you can continue, so just one more word that, as I mentioned, we will have questions and answers as a possibility. And we would ask you to keep Slido open. And it's the same reference. So in a moment, you will be able to see questions and answers. You will be able to vote on other people's questions. So if you have a question, please write it. And if you see a question that you would like to have asked, then vote on that question. And I promise that we will answer as many of the top questions as possible. So if you like your question answered on this subject, then please make sure that it gets asked and it gets voted on. Okay, so let's go on to the topic at hand. We are talking about the different transformation options. So, Jason, I would very much like to ask you a question around, we've seen at the beginning of the S/4HANA adoption curve that many companies opted for Greenfield implementations. Can you say something about the rationale behind that and what we saw as the primary reasons and maybe also the primary outcomes from that from that time?
Yeah, thank you, David. Yeah, and actually, I absolutely agree. We saw that. That was really what we saw in the market. And I think, initially it was actually quite a bit about buying into the vision, or let's say banking on the whole idea of the digital or intelligent enterprise. So, if you look at it, Greenfield is basically you're starting fresh. You're starting over with a clean slate, so to say. So you get the opportunity to basically get rid of all of your existing IT debt. So you have no constraints basically from your legacy when you start with that. I mean, and that's appealing. So you can then, focus on the new kind of standard processes and enabling those. But of course, the downside to this is that you will have a challenge with it'll be a huge change project. So it'll put an enormous stress on the organization, demand a lot from your people to do this. And for many companies also, you might have done a lot of work actually building your own kind of bespoke processes and bespoke solutions. And how do you kind of bring that value with you as well? So getting rid of the debt, but also bringing with you the existing value for kind of, let's say, your unique processes which you have in your old system. So I think, in fairness, a lot of the companies who were there early and did this greenfield approach, they maybe had actually quite big problems with their existing systems. So they might have been through, let's say, mergers and acquisitions or divestitures. So the organizational structure had all changed, and you have kind of a mix of data and processes and stuff in your system. Or maybe had kind of huge changes in their business model, so that the old system wasn't really supporting the way they're running business today, and they really needed to make that change early. So I think those are the kind of key things. And if you kind of, so the pros of that, of course, as I mentioned, it's getting rid of your debt, and it's getting naturally to these new standard processes. But then, of course, how do you kind of do that kind of change project? It's an end-to-end transformation, and how do you kind of keep, or how you need to rebuild and what you had, which was unique from before.
That's very good insights, Jason. I can see that those who have gone on that route, I mean, I'm sure they are in the process of massive transformation programs. But we see a new trend emerging, and those who maybe are not so, don't see their current core solutions as so problematic, and would like to maybe convert what they have. We're seeing now a wave of those who are making more technical conversions, what can be colloquially called brownfield. Chinaka, can you maybe give some insights into the types of companies that are choosing this type of approach, and maybe what they're getting out of it?
Yeah, David. Thanks. So yes, initially, as Jason was mentioning, when S4 was launched 5 years back, there was a big focus on greenfield. But then gradually the shift started, and that was definitely in the interest of uh, saving the investments the companies and organizations have made in the ERP. So as Jason was saying, that the companies which are using ERP for a long time, and they saw a need of transformation and change, they opted for greenfield. But in case of brownfield, the companies who have probably ended their ERP transformations, let's say 2 or 3 years back, then they are a bit reluctant in getting into the same big project to bring business again. So as we saw from our Slido results as well, the big concern is disrupting business. Organizations don't want to bring around like 15, 20, 30, or 50 people out of their mainline organization and keep them again for 3 years or 4 years or 5 years into another ERP project which they have finished only 3 years back. So that was the concern, and then the shift moved towards the brownfield. That was one, and second was, again, because they have invested so much in those 10 or 12 years of their ERP transformation, because it's an ongoing process. It's not that you have installed something today and you're not changing anything in it. So, and as they have done a lot of investment into it, there was a concern that, okay, guys, if we do greenfield, we'll have to redo everything. We have to do the customizations and configurations, and the differentiators what we have developed in the ERP system from the competition, we'll have to redo it again. And that was a concern, and that started a chain of, okay, doing brownfield. Okay, let's do a technical upgrade. Let's continue with our investments what we have made, and let's not bother the business. But the problem came up when they started realizing that although business is knowing that we are moving to S4, but business is saying that I'm not seeing any change because I'm using the same process. It's only the engine at the bottom has changed or the platform has changed, but I'm not seeing any benefit. I'm not able to use the Fiori apps, which everybody's talking about. It's not that user friendly. Still, other platforms and other organizations are moving towards a new way of working. So that question comes up from the organization side. So the change management is also a factor which impacts, as part of Brownfield. The second impact on the point of view is that although one side we are saying that there is an investment on the enhancements and the customization done, but the problem is what we are seeing in the market, that most of the customers are not using even 50% of their customizations on a day-to-day basis. So I'll give you an example. We are doing a project, and we did an analysis of one of the customers recently, and they had around 1,800 custom code and execution and Z transactions in their system built over the period of 12, 14 years. And you will be surprised that only 30% of those Z programs are being used. 70% nobody is using it for the last 6, 8 months. So that's the technical debt. What I think it came up in Slido survey as well, that they want to avoid technical debt. They don't want to build a technical debt. So those were the problems came out from Brownfield, that, okay, we are unable to control our technical debt. We are moving it forward, and the change management and those things were the problems. Yeah.
Okay, but it sounds like it's damned if you do and damned if you don't. So that those who really felt they had an inadequate core system, who went for Greenfield, they also embarked on a big transformation, a large project with a lot of change management. Those who have seen that it's not so necessary to throw away the old, who are actually converting it, they are also encountering maybe less happy users, less transformation, and less value, and a lot of change in the process. So, and I think we can see here that there is a middle road. So is it possible to take what is good from the old platform and also build some transformational, differentiating content from S4HANA? So Chinaka, maybe if you, I'm going to introduce the concept of selective transformation, but I wonder if you could tell me what that means.
So I'll take that, David. I mean, that's, it's a great question, and that's why we're kind of happy to sit here today and present selective transformation, because as it says in the name, it's a new approach where we are actually taking selective parts of your old system and migrating it over, at the same time enabling you to do the transformation. So in essence, it's a technical conversion of then parts of your old system. You take across only selected configuration and code and Z programs, etc., and you take across only parts of your data. Selected master data, selected transaction data. And then you use modern tools such as machine learning. You use digital FDEs or bots to do a lot of that work of actually building up your system. So, and Chinaka will dive into the technical details about this a bit later. But just to kind of put it into like a business context. So what you're getting is, you're getting actually the opportunity to reimagine your new simplified business processes, while at the same time you're also protecting the value, the investment you've already done in your truly differentiating areas. And this is, normally difficult. And some of the things which are holding you back is typically that you might have configuration which is really redundant, but or you might have a lot of programs which it's difficult to tidy up in, or some of the data there is actually hindering in doing those changes. So if you've done a brownfield and you want to do all of these changes, you want new GL, document splits, you want to implement business partner, all of these things suddenly become like mini projects in their own right because of all the challenges you will have with the data. So what selective transformation basically allows you to do is also to reduce kind of the effort or the risk related to having all of these extra mini projects ongoing. So you can do actually a lot of this automatically as you do the selective transformation. So you're actually then starting up with a fresh S4 system with only the data you want and the configuration you want, and then you can start building your innovation on top of that. So from that perspective, and looking back, I think it's reducing the disruption for the business. I mean, which is a key thing.
Yeah.
Because you're also then keeping your key differentiators as part of this as well. And it's helping you get quicker to the value as well, because then you can, as part of this, you can also get all of the Fiori apps activated at the same time. So you can also then, you're using your old system, but you're then helping or forcing your users into the new work process as well in the areas you want. And it's also about so it's about accelerating your transformation. So getting into the new system and getting the value out of it. It's about reducing the risk, yeah.
It sounds like the best of both worlds. That sounds pretty clever. I think I will ask you, Chinaka. This is a very clever mechanism, it appears. But can you maybe peel the onion a little bit and tell us a little about how this is made possible?
Yeah, thanks for that, David. So thanks for moving to the next one. Actually, I'll try to keep it at a fairly high level and not getting into use a lot of technical jargons there. But as every system, because it's a mix of the greenfield and a brownfield, it's a middle way path. So we have to start with the source system, and the source system can be your ECC system with a compatible EHP enhancement pack on it, and it could be running on any of the databases. And the idea is to take a copy of your system and put it on any of the hyperscalers. So you can perform this selective transformation approach on any of the hyperscalers, be it Amazon, Google, or AWS, and whatever the customer prefers. And if customer has a spare infrastructure in their data center, it can be done on premise as well. So the idea is to take a copy of that one. We can take a copy using the digital FTEs, what Jason mentioned, and we run Kinetic Platform Analyzer on top of it. So that's the complete 360-degree technical scan of your system, looking into the processes at L2, L3 level, looking into your custom code, customizations, what you have done over the years, looking into the security roles and authorizations you have built and how it will impact if you move to S4. It also looks into the integrations, how many integrations you have, how many iDocs, how many RFP connections you have with other external systems, and to see what is being used. And also, as I mentioned about one of the customers, it also looks into the usability of the executable programs to understand that, okay, what's the technical debt out there. And the best part is it also looks into the data quality and data completeness of it. So once we have all these things, we know that, okay, what are the pain points, what is the technical debt we have, and what are the processes and what's the quality of processes we have, and what needs to be done to move it to the next one. So that's done as part of on the copied system. But there's one little box on there which says Trufa. So Jason, if you can throw a little light about how Trufa can help customers when they move towards.
Yeah, so that's a good point, Chinaka. So Trufa, so basically Trufa is a tool we've built at Deloitte. And to kind of describe it in a nutshell, what it is, it's a pre-built analytics solution. And it's obviously it's built on SAP technology, so it's an analytics solution running on a HANA database. And it's pre-built with KPIs and various types of analysis, and it's actually mapped and understands SAP data. So when we use Trufa, we can automatically extract data from your SAP system, and also using analytics and machine learning, also automatically generate insights and help you understand where you can go in and actually achieve benefits in your processes. So it can actually pinpoint down to processes and process variants where it sees that you are actually performing worse, and can help you understand where you can actually either save costs or reduce working capital and get these benefits. And what we see is, the companies are using this, as actually as a tool even to generate a business case and get funding for the S4 journey.
That's great. So now at this point in time, we have the technical analysis done, and we have a business case, and we know what processes to get optimized to be able to fund your S4 journey. So you have the technical aspect, you have the business aspect of it. So once that is done, then we use using accelerators from Deloitte. We create a shell copy. So by shell copy, what we mean is that we take all the configurations and all the customizations we have done to the new system, and we don't take the data with it. So the problem what we happen with the brownfield is that you cannot delete any configuration because you have related data along with it. And that's the main problem. In the shell, you have all the configuration, you have your customized code without any data. So that box is basically your development box if you compare it with your Greenfield now. And now you can do whatever you want with your configurations. You can pick and choose the configurations and the developments you have done over the years, the investments what you have made, and in the customization form, and the configurations will help you reducing your disruption of the business, because most of the configuration, the processes which you want to take forward, you don't have to redesign those, you don't have to involve business to redesign those in the explore phase, and then you can take those ones. Once that is done, you can then you can convert that system into S4, and then bring in all the data. So all the data means the data which is relevant for the configurations and the customizations you're moving forward. You can pick the choose the data from your existing ERP system, ACC, and you can move that data into the new S4 system. So you will have your data, you will have your selected data, selected configuration, and selected customizations converted into S4, and the data is converted or migrated using a combination of SAP DMC to a data migration cockpit, and Deloitte's D-Dash. It's a data migration automation tool what we have developed. So now you have an S4 box. And so now you have an S4 box with your selected customization, selected data, and then you can do innovation on them. So now the innovation journey starts.
So just a question, Chanakya. I mean, sorry if this is a bit tricky,
No.
but I'm working with a client now, and they actually have, because this looks like fine if you have like one ERP system,
Yeah.
but they actually have two different SAP systems today. Can they use a similar approach?
Yes, they can. But the tricky part is, the tricky part is when we, rather than doing a copy, then it's the idea is to create two copies here for both ERP systems, and we have to run this Kinetic Platform Analyzer, or we also call it Deloitte Platform Analyzer, in both the systems to analyze which of the systems is a first, assessing what's the technical debt in both, and then also assessing which can be the base system to be able to migrate. So let's say there are ECC1 and ECC2. So you see that ECC1 is the base system and more closer to the processes what you want for future. You can take that as a base and take the same journey. And what you can do using SAP SLO services, what you used to call, now it is called DMLT services, you can migrate the data from the other ERP, so ECC2 system, into the new S4 box. So you can have the configurations moved from the ECC1, ECC2, and then the data using these two different services. So mainly it's like multiple ECC systems, merger and acquisition cases can solve.
Cool.
So this sounds really interesting. It also looks, very very complete. I'm just thinking here that many of those on this webinar have already been through some of the thought process around this, and maybe have thought these thoughts, but haven't really seen it as being technically possible. And many who have not yet started their journey would probably like to see the outcome of one of these exercises. So, how quickly can such an exercise be done, Janaka?
Yeah. We can, if we can move to, we have a quick, small teaser there. Probably we will need another, more cases, or we'll need. This can really help, on the rapid development. And I think, Jason, if you can throw light on this POC approach.
Yeah. So that's a good question. You often the traditional way of how you do kind of your pre-projects or your discovery today is you're using PowerPoints to look at the processes, or you're using plain vanilla SAP boxes with S/4HANA boxes, and you're trying to understand how HANA works. But it's difficult to kind of often then get the real context of your business and how that will work. So we actually have this what we call a rapid proof of concept, where we in 6 weeks we can use this selective transformation approach, and we can build your POC. Again, it's a subset of processes, so you select your key processes and key data to do that. But of course, then you get this built, and you can actually then do these visioning and discovery workshops on an S4 solution with your data and your configuration. So it gives a totally new way of interacting with the business. And even in that process, you can have actually done then this. So if you're on ECC without new GL, we can even do the new GL and the document splits and the business partner and everything. So you actually have a fully working S4 system with your data.
But David, the only point is that when we do this POC, we cannot use any SAP services to convert the data. That's one thing. And the second is that we are not converting the all list of processes. Let's say you have 200 processes in your system, so you pick and choose, let's say 10, 15, 20 business processes which are crucial to you, so that you can see your own processes, as Jason just mentioned.
And can I ask Jason, maybe from a business perspective, if one runs a selective transformation, rapid process like you've just described, what type of new business insights would you expect to get from such an exercise?
So it's actually seeing your process. You can see your process in the new system, so you can see how they would work, and you can start then playing around with it. So you can start playing around with the configuration and actually getting a feel for how you can do those changes. So instead of doing like a theoretical exercise, you can actually do a real live exercise in understanding that, and it's really valuable in bringing your business people along. Because a lot of the challenge of doing an S4 transformation is also getting the maturity up and understanding the possibilities in the system and getting that kind of confidence in what it could do for you. So it's also an accelerator from that perspective, which I see is very, very valuable.
And David, I just want to point out something. So it's all about seeing and believing. So the problem with the PowerPoint things is that, yes, my process might look like that, and then you see a demo of a Fiori somewhere else. So you don't see your process in running in a Fiori app with your own customer hierarchy, with your own data, with your own products. And when you see that as part of after this POC, you believe that, yes, this process or this thing can work and this will help me. And so it also helps in the change management. It also helps selling the concept of S4 and the new way of working to the business, which might be reluctant. Change, everybody relucts to change. So
that sounds really interesting and a great blend of business insight and technical innovation. I think we have hopefully we have explained the concept here of selective transformation and also how we can make it real for you in a very short time. What I would like to do, though, before we move on to the finish, is to quickly look at your questions, because we said we would come back to your questions. And again, I'm going to give you a bit of time. And not all of you have been, I hope most of you have been listening to the discussion. And so I'll give you a little bit of time to either vote on questions you feel are relevant, or if you have any questions that you now haven't asked, I'll give you a few seconds to write it down, and let's see if we can get people to vote on it. Again, QR code if you weren't there originally, camera on your mobile, and it will bring you through to the page. Or you can go into Slido or sli.do, slido.com, with 28006 as the number. Again, I'm going to leave it until we have a few more votes. I'm happy that the question that isn't a question is getting some votes as well. Thank you for the feedback. to make the dialogue format good, I think we need the audience. So still more votes we're hoping for. We'll keep it live. What I think we will do is we can see that there is already a question that many want answered. So Jason or Chanaka, I'm not sure which one of you would like to take this, but the biggest challenge with selective transformation.
Do you want to start from
Point
a
of view on
technical
that.
perspective?
Yeah, I can do that. So the first David, is the mindset, because although it's a middle way path between Greenfield and Brownfield, many times business starts thinking that it's pure Brownfield. If I just tell that, okay, this process is is the way I want it, and then it should be sorted out. So it's not that easy. There will be a certain involvement of process of the business needed, especially to go through the process, and there's an opportunity to simplify the process as well at this point in time. So that mindset has to be there, that yes, it's an easier approach, it's a less time consuming approach compared to the greenfield, but it's not as simple as that. I don't want to look what's happening. So business needs to get involved in at least identifying the processes, what needs to be done, and especially the second part is the data, because when we are saying we are taking the selected data, at that point you have a chance and you have an opportunity to get rid of the all the data which is inconsistent in the system, with the quality is bad in the system. So that thing, the problem what customers are saying and thinking, the mindset works that yeah, it's similar to brownfield. I'll tell you the process, you just take the data whatever you want, I just want 1 year of data and that's it. So it's not that. The data quality needs to be checked by the business, that needs to be validated by the business, so there is a certain involvement. So it should not be considered as simple as brownfield, but yes, there is a less involvement needed. So that's one, that mindset, that is one of the issues. And the one thing which we have seen is the data inconsistency. So even when customers try to pull the data, they tell that we need this amount of data, and if the data is inconsistent, it's difficult to migrate that. So that is probably one thing which we need to see, and sit with the customer and see, okay, where are the inconsistencies, how we can solve it, and can it be solved in the existing system? If not, then can the business live without these data? So that's from the technical point, David.
But my understanding is we can also fix data as part of the transformation.
Yes, you can do it along with you can have, no doubt it will be a different project in parallel where data archiving, data cleansing can be done. But yes, this is a golden opportunity to do it, because then in brownfield, that's the problem, you take all the data with you, and in greenfield the problem is you don't have your data with you. So you have an opportunity to look into it, clean your data, and take it forward.
Good.
So,
I think thank you for answering that. I hope that answered the person who had posed this question first. I would like to quickly ask question number 2. The most important step when changing your core. I'm sure there are many answers to this. We try to see if we can glean which one is the most important. But Jason, would you like to maybe start out on that? Which is the most important step when changing your core?
Yeah, exactly. And it's an interesting question. I'm not sure if it's coming from like a technical or business perspective, but for me, the most important step is actually the first step, which is actually planning this. And it's understanding, what you want to do with your system going forward. So understanding your business strategy, and how that is evolving, and how your kind of operating model is evolving, and how you want your processes to be. So you can actually then make an informed decision about, what is the right approach to do here. Because that is going to drive your understanding about what you need to keep and what you need to adapt as you move forward. And all of the technical tools, they are enablers for that. I mean, they're essential enablers, and they really give a lot of value. But it takes that business mindset to kind of be able to drive this process forward.
and I totally agree, Jason. The main part what we are seeing is alignment. Normally we have seen in this transformation projects, business have their own wish list, technical people have their own wish list, and many times it's a challenge to bring both of them onto the same table and do that alignment. So that as I agree, the alignment between business and IT, a common goal and vision, defining initially, and the target, until you don't know where you want to go, you cannot start the journey. That's the problem, and that's the transformation journey we are talking about. It's not 1 month thing or 2 month thing which can be done, and you can move on. It's a journey you start with. And uh, these days, setting up your ERP is like setting up your platform. Earlier, ERP was the ultimate game. Okay, I have an ERP system. I don't want to worry about anything else. Now I have everything I can do with it. In these days, it has changed. The ERP is the basic platform you need. So this transformation of your core is the platform base, and then it gives you a base to launch your business, to launch your innovation ideas, launch quicker turnaround to market. So all those things comes with that, and that's the whole
That's,
thing.
I think they're very important steps. So I think we have time for one more question. We have covered it a little bit, but given that we have a question, I would like you to maybe remind the audience here of what you see as the primary potential benefits of selective transformation.
I can start out on that, and you can add in. I mean, let's compare it again then to Greenfield and to Brownfield. So if you compare it to Greenfield, you're actually able to keep your differentiating processes, your differentiating developments, and you can actually bring then also your data in. So if you're doing changes, you can do the adaptation of data. So you're actually getting everything working within the new solution. So you can do a transformation, but at the same time, keeping your existing data modified into that transformation as well. So, going back to I think some of the input on the Slido questions, So for me, then that is actually helping them to avoid disruption to the business, because you're bringing that across, and it's also protecting your investment, and from my perspective also then mitigating the risk.
Yeah, I agree. And in addition to that, it's avoiding the technical IT debt, what you have accumulated over the years. So, probably all the four, if you remember, David, all the four top answers are being answered. So it's a less disruption to business because they are less involved compared to the greenfield. Um, it's better than in brownfield because you can control the technical debt what you want to carry on. So you don't carry on the debt, but you only carry on the investments you have made on the technical side, and you mitigate the risk, and you continue with your investments you have done in past, and you continue the reaping benefits out of that.
But that is really good. I think we have run out of time for questions, and thank you. And it's really good to see that we have at least come full circle back. I hope that the concerns that you have clearly raised around your transformation journey, that some of them have been addressed, or at least we have indicated where answers may come from. I hope you also see that, maybe it's not the best of both worlds, but it's certainly a mechanism, selective transformation, for bringing some of the best of what you have invested in, and maybe getting rid of what Chanaka has called your technical debt. So I hope this Grabn Go session has been valuable for you all, and I thank Jason and Chanaka for giving us the business and technical insights into this. I would ask that you connect with us, because I hope what we have been discussing here is interesting for you, either starting your journey, getting the business case to start your journey, or if you have started your journey and need a few extra insights into it, then you're more than welcome to reach out to Jason, Chanaka, or indeed myself to hear more. So at this point, I'd like to thank you all for attending this Grabn Go session. Thank you for the interaction. Really appreciate that you have both given your own concerns, and you have voted and asked very, very relevant questions. And we hope this session has been interesting for you all. So I'd just like to wish you a good festive season ahead of us, and stay safe. Thank you very much.